Let's go to El Fanatico. I'm going to imagine this is Rodeo. Is this? Yeah, it says Rodeo. But anyway, El Fanatico, it's fine. Lucas can have typos. He's been following us around all day. Hey, Fanatico, what are you doing?
I'm just headed out to Lucky's right now to get something for dinner.
Perfect. Taco Tuesday at my house.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking myself there.
I'll tell you what, we'll send you the address off the air, but go right ahead, man. What's cooking?
I'm just going to chime in with this Kyle Shanahan. He drives me freaking cuckoo sometimes, with this whole, I just wish he'd make up his mind and pick a quarterback. This guy, I'm 55 years old, and this guy, he thinks he's playing a video game, and it just drives me nuts with this quarterback situation. I wish he'd just pick one, and he's already setting himself up saying, well, just don't get mad at me when I do this and that. What the hell is it? What does that mean?
Well, can I ask you, though, like didn't he pick one? He has picked one. We're asking him to pick two, right?
Well, kind of, yes, but he's not really giving the kid a vote of confidence either. Like, he's my guy. I'm going to stand behind him 100%. He's still kind of leaving the back door kind of a little open. You know what I mean?
Well, what if we asked it to you this way, Fanatico? And this is going to sound harsh, but what if Kyle Shanahan truly is just out on Trey? Then what would you like him to do? Because couldn't I argue, if that's the case, and when I say out, again, that's harsh, but if he's not digging what Trey is doing and he doesn't have confidence in him, couldn't I argue that saying he is battling for the two with Sam Darnold, who we got on day one of free agency, couldn't I argue that is kind of backing him, giving him something that he may not actually feel like he's earned?
Well, yeah, I kind of see that, but sometimes Kyle strikes me the kind of guy that he would, if something happens to Trey, he'd be like, and Donald comes in and becomes the number two. He always, to me, he always gives himself a back door, and I totally agree with what you're saying. But to me, he always gives himself an out every freaking time. He always gives himself an out on each situation with the quarterback.
Interesting. El Fanatico, thank you, and enjoy dinner. I don't know. What's a coach to do in this situation?
Well, he has two choices.
What would you have him do?
I would have him do exactly what he's doing, which is pump up everyone, and then when you get to a point where you have to make a decision, make a decision. And he's either going to keep Brandon and Sam and say, well, Trey, you've been traded, or he'll keep Trey and Sam and hope that Brandon Allen can pass through waivers and go on the practice squad, which he won't do, or one of them gets hurt and he doesn't have to worry about any of it. But what's he supposed to do now in July to keep the value of Trey Lance while also keeping his integrity?
We always say that it's like it's lying season. Coaches are liars. I don't think Kyle Shanahan's a liar. I think that he tells the truth that he can tell, which is not the whole truth. I mean, obviously, nobody tells.
What did he say there that is on the record in terms of like something that you can come back and say, well, see, you lied to us, Kyle. There's nothing.
Well,
it was all nebulous and hyperbole and conjecture.
Sure. It's fuzzy. Like you keep your options open. Why would you not do that? You know what I mean? Like, this is not a relationship. You don't have to define it to the other person. And I believe, as we actually spent a lot of time on our show yesterday, the 49ers and everyone around them, not named Shanahan, have tried every way they can think of to tell people all summer long that Brock Purdy's the starter.
Exactly.
And nobody listened. Everybody was just like, oh my gosh, it's an open competition because Kyle wouldn't name his starter. Well, yeah, because Brock Purdy had surgery. Now they arrive at camp and listen to how definitive this actually is.
Brock's cleared and ready to go. He's been cleared. He's going to be without restrictions. Now, having said that, we're sticking and we're adhering to a plan that's been put in place for some time. he got after it the last couple days. We upped his pitch count, so it was kind of the peak of the buildup, and so he'll take off day one. And but we believe in that plan, so he's cleared without restriction. There will be some time off, due to pitch count and all that, sticking to the plan. But the great news is Brock has worked his tail off, and he's ready to go.
All right, so John gives him full clearance, and then Kyle said this about first-team reps.
He will when he's out there. The throwing plan's a little different. We're never going to have him go 3 days in a row. And so, like, today he threw just with his schedule from the weekend and everything. So today he threw, so tomorrow he won't practice. So the other guys will do the same thing as OTAs. They'll both go with the ones. And then Brock will have practices 2 and 3 to go. Then he'll take the next one off. So
if anybody's waiting for something definitive, listen to even the words that he uses when he says that. Now, he was asked, what is the plan in terms of reps for Brock Purdy? And then he goes on 30 seconds talking about he and him. This is what he is going to do when he's out there. And then the other guys.
Right.
The other guys.
Exactly.
That's what Trey is now. He's just one of the other guys.
Well, that's always what it is when you talk about quarterbacks in the NFL. There's the starter, and then there are the other guys. Normally there's a backup, but usually the backup, if he's not just one of the other guys, then you've got a quarterback competition. And that's where you look at some situations. We talked about Tampa before, and maybe Indy, maybe Pittsburgh, but probably not. The more you look at other situations, if you're not one of the other guys, then you've got a quarterback competition, and that's the nature of the NFL.
It's just tough, man. It's tough because, again, as we work through all of these comments, my question is not what is the plan for Trey, it's is there one at all? Is there a plan for Trey? Because when you put that kind of resource into a player, there is usually a plan. I mean, a runway.
Right.
All
with a capital
of these
P.
things. I mean, come on. This is a multi-million dollar investment by a multi-billion dollar corporation. And we've reached a moment fairly quickly that feels like it's now just an afterthought. The secondary thought that I have, though, is this is set up to go down as the most epically unfair scenario a top 5 draft pick has ever encountered.
Unfair is
no one's fault.
Yeah,
no one's fault.
I don't like the term unfair.
Unlucky?
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Might work for me.
Okay, I'll meet you there.
Because, I mean, unfair, like, I look at James Wiseman, and can we say that was unfair in terms of his arc? Because
the injuries.
He played. Well,
This is James Wiseman.
Thank you. He played, and then he got hurt, and then he came back, and he got hurt. He missed a whole year, and they wanted a chip, and then he got a shot, and then they didn't play well, and then he sat, and then they traded him. So was that unfair, unlucky, unfortunate, something else? Trey Lance, I think, is a little bit more unlucky in terms of the fact that he was given the job. You are our starting quarterback. You're the guy. And, we have Jimmy G just in case because no one wanted him, and so we kept him in a bargain as an insurance policy in case Trey wasn't good or if Trey got hurt. And, Trey got hurt after 5 quarters. All right, Jimmy G, we need you. And then Jimmy G got hurt. Trey, no, Trey, you're still hurt, so we can't. So to that extent, yes, that was unlucky. The fact that his injury was much like James Wiseman cost him a whole year.
And by the way, speaking of Jimmy G, what a fall from grace to go from Super Bowl quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers to Willard and Dibs golf partner on a Tuesday.
That was crazy.
As it turns out. I'm sure some of this will end up on social, but we have mentioned our winning listener, Sean, and his younger brother, Alan, who flew up from San Diego to be with us. Alan is a Garoppolo doppelganger. He's a Garoppaganger. And so those will be on some of the pictures. It didn't even sort of occur to you and me until the second 9.
Until the end of the round.
I think it was Lucas who brought it up. He's like, have you ever gotten the Jimmy thing? And he's like, yeah, I've gotten the Jimmy thing. He even said his wife actually brought it up to him at the dinner table recently.
Saying
like,
that you look like some quarterback.
She's like, I saw this football player maybe on TV. You kind of look like him. Which is, that's a nice thing for somebody to say to a man.
It wasn't until the end of the round where either you said it or Luke.
Yeah,
and I looked at him like, oh my God. Because I'm out there.
Alan Garoppolo.
I'm grinding bogeys all day. I'm not really looking at Alan. He had sunglasses on. And when I looked at him, he's got the brow. He's got the eyes. He's got the square jaw.
He does. He's got the, just the
Little stubble.
Yeah, the 6 o'clock shadow.
Sure.
Oh, man. Yeah. That was him. He's him.
He is him.
Let's go to Tia in Texas. Hey, Tia, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing?
Hi, I was just calling in about the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I know they said that, Purdy is healthy, but if he's cleared and healthy, why is he not practicing every day? If he's cleared by the doctors, he needs to be out there getting reps because he has not had any type of off season, and just coming in, 2 days out of the practices they're going to have, you still don't know how many times he's going to throw. So I'm not understanding either he's cleared or he's not cleared. And then my second part, what you were saying about how Trey Lance is not getting really a fair shot, I don't think he is either. But at this point, if they don't trust or believe in him, then I don't understand why they just won't trade him, regardless of whatever they get back. Just trade him.
I think we can answer both of those questions. They are good ones. Tia, thanks. Here's what I'd say. The second question first. Why don't they just trade him? The reports have been out there that there is no market for him. And I know you said, well, no matter what they get for him. Well, what if that's nothing? I mean, literally nothing. What if nobody is offering anything?
Even like a conditional 7th.
Well, and actually, there is a line where I'd be like, well, why? What do you want that for?
Right.
A conditional 7th, I would rather, especially if you're the 49ers with their history.
Yeah, keep them.
Keep all the quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Or hope that something happens in the preseason that raises that value. So,
which means injury to someone else.
Right. And then as far as your Brock comment, I would actually respond by saying it's not all or nothing. You're not going to say, oh, if he's cleared, then you're cleared. And you're out there every day. That's not how it works, especially this early.
In July, yeah.
There's no reason to push it that hard. It's kind of like a pitcher who comes off of injury. And then you go, okay, you're cleared to pitch. Well, you're pitching for us tomorrow night. Well, are you going 9 innings and 115 pitches?
Sure.
No. You're going to go 5 innings, and we're going to take you out after 75 pitches.
Yeah. Because
we would like to ease you back in to the physicality.
And that's what John Lynch said about a pitch count. He's on a pitch count, which means 2 days on, 1 day off, and it is July, and you don't have an actual real game for about a month and a half.
Wow.
So, yeah, why not just have him ease his way in? So it's never as simple as, okay, you're back. And think about it in terms of like the NBA. If Steph Curry misses a month or a month and a half due to whatever injury, you don't come back and play 36 minutes the first night. You probably play 20 minutes, then 24, then maybe 28 to 30. Then you play full on minutes.
Steph came off the bench.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the 49ers are playing this right, number one. And number two, I'm still, I'm not there yet to where I'm not, my shock has not worn off. There was a little bit of a tip yesterday, an industry tip, if you will.
Just the tip.
For just a second, that looked like the 49ers were not even going to put Brock Purdy on the PUP list. That was enough of a surprise. Where I'm stunned is not just that he's not on the PUP list. Where I'm stunned is that they're like, yeah, we're good. So that injury was tough, but it's all over now. Whoa. So we have spent, and maybe some of you are hearing it this way, and I will fully sit on this grenade. To a degree, there is egg on the face of everyone who covers and follows the 49ers. Even though, right, some of us have been on the side. I was asked 3 months ago, what are you willing to bet that Brock Purdy's going to start week 1? And I was like, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I think he's starting week 1. But at no point did I sit here and think that people would sound like this on July, checks notes, 25th.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to sound like this. And if it was going to sound like this or there was any chance of it, what the hell have we been talking about for the last 4 months?
Right.
Quarterback open competition. What if he's not ready week 1? Trey this, Sam that. You got your quarterback. It's Brock Purdy. He's ready to go.
Barring a setback, which, Dr. Meister, give him all the credit for the surgery and the rehab from Brock Purdy, who put the work in to get as ready as he needed to get to where we sit here on July 25th and actual camp opens tomorrow. Today we show up and shake hands and do your physicals. But tomorrow we'll be out there between 10 and 12 with practice getting underway, and Brock Purdy won't be throwing, but all eyes on Trey Lance and Sam Darnold.
I'm glad he's not throwing. Hopefully he'll just be standing there. We'll go talk to him.
Yeah.
Hey, Brock, what's up? Willard and Dibs, want to come on the show? Nathan, Calipatria. Hey, Nathan.
Nathan!
You are on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing?
Guys, I'm actually got a little break from work. I just got calling to you guys.
Good for you.
And,
good for you.
So good for me. But here's my take on it. This is just my opinion. And overall, I would say obviously there's always good news when you get your quarterback getting healthy, and it's optimistic. But I will say this to you, and I believe this wholeheartedly: if Brock Purdy plays well, regardless of whether or not the 49ers win a Super Bowl, then Trey Lance's long-term future is not with the 49ers. And regardless of whether or not he performs well in practice or not, barring something setback, which we hope doesn't happen to Purdy, he's not really going to play. And everybody you cannot buy in and say that, hey, all these are my guys. At some point, you got to stick with one guy and just go with it. And the guy who you decide isn't your guy and isn't your franchise quarterback, then you got to do him a disservice if you keep him on your team.
Well, so, Nathan, I think you're spot on, but I think we might already be further along than you think that we are, or they are, is probably a better way to say it. In other words, you're like, if Brock Purdy ends up playing well this year, then you got to move on from Trey. I am not at all even a little bit convinced that Trey Lance is not getting traded next month. Listening to all this today, I am not even a little bit convinced that he's not getting traded next. The fact that Brandon Allen's name came up the way that it just did suggests to me that is very much on the table. And the tradition in the NFL, go back to Colin Kaepernick, Alex Smith. If you've got an accomplished quarterback and you decide he's not your guy, you get him out. You go get him to a spot where he can play. You do your guy a solid. You also get something nice in return. What did the Niners get for Alex Smith? Second rounder and a conditional something else too, right?
In the next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because he was an accomplished quarterback and somebody was willing to start him. The only difference between Alex Smith and Trey Lance is that Trey Lance hasn't actually shown it yet. He has been drafted as an accomplished quarterback, but he hasn't quite shown it yet. The good news for the 49ers is that he hasn't not shown it yet.
Right.
Right? So, therefore, you're still in this realm of the unknown. But the tradition would be that the Niners would almost be motivated to just kind of do Trey a solid and get him somewhere else if they like three other quarterbacks better than him.
Yes, and that's where, we have to wait for a month or so, and you have to wait to see what shakes out from other spots around the league. Because right now, if you look at every quarterback room around the league, the other 31 teams in the NFL, Trey Lance would not walk in and be anybody's one, and he'd be hard-pressed to be anybody's two.
Yeah.
Right now. Based on what we know about Trey Lance and what he's shown and how he's played. So you need something to happen to somebody's one or their two for that team to say, oh, boy, who could we get? Who's available? Trey Lance, and then the call gets made.